Yes, people, when it comes to one's personal history, one's personal history. Yes, from one's direct ancestral pool, as they call it. Um, Mother, father, grandmother, grandfather, great grandfather, great grandmother, nieces, uncles, and nephews. I in the popular in the popularity or the unpopularness of it, meaning that the your story or your ancestral pool, the history of your ancestors are not as in the society as accepted as valued or popular than others outside of your family or others, such as someone is known like from a person who may did not know his father may change his name to Washington, like Booker T. Washington. He had to change his name to Washington because Washington was a valued name. It was popular. You Last name Washington. And therefore become descendants of that. And and then therefore, you know, um, let's say if one last name is Johnson, descendants of Johnson family. But then when we sometimes people do the uh, libation, we go outside of our pool, direct line, and we mention names that are popular, you know. But then there are those that are unpopular, that is just as valued and just as relevant, you know. And but your story is not, your history is not as important, based upon the accomplishments of the that has been put forth by those who story is important, But anything that takes form will always be, remember, your accomplishment is not based upon some monetary success or determined by those who control the media, press, and television. It is in the journey thereof. So what you have to say and have to offer is just as important as the next person, even though they are publicized more than you, you know. And it creates this division, this chasm, this hate psychosis. Yes, because then people start suffering from the value of self worth. You know, for example, if I look back from my ancestors who, and knowing it, um, taking on different names until this point. Now, then there could be a disconnect and a lack of understanding and even appreciation for it, because we just don't. it's not, it has not been um, the upkeep, and it has not, the maintenance work has not been done to say that your ancestors of your grandfather did this and your great great grandfather did that, and we keep going down the line. But if you have no understanding of that, then you will give credence to other folks' accomplishments and give them a greater value than you give yourself. But that seems to be very challenging in the society today too, as well. You know, and you give greater value to others, and then you lessen your value. That's why I say I like to promote the value of self-worth, and I study, the value of nature, axiology. So, and we look at events now that may be occurring, and any events that may be occurring in the world, people making history, but they says a generation that not know what their ancestors have been through. They have not made maybe a intellectual, if I may use that word, connection, but yet they're still living it out. And maybe there are some intangibles that people cannot put their hand on. Younger generations may not cannot put their hand on, but they just live it out. They make history because history is very active. It is made in the present. Yes, it is something that you leave behind for others to build on and tap into, and you learn from it. You inherit it. You learn to correct it. You learn to appreciate it. That work then may not work now. You know, so history is always being made in some shape, form, or fashion. You know, and whatever that you do, you know, good or bad, we all have to face the consequences. We may not always get any monetary reward for what we do. We may not get any notoriety of what we do, but by publicity, and it may not be popular. But whatever you're doing behind the scenes, you know, so to speak, just keep on doing it, and because you have value. You personally have value. Yes. So maybe we continue to learn not to devalue each other. Uh, sell each other cheap. Far too many times that's what religions have done. They sold people cheap. They sold people cheap. Politicians sell people cheap. Sell people cheap. You know, that's not selling cheap academically, socially, because it's a moral and ethical obligation to increase the value of our worth, our self-esteem, which is unmeasurable and incalculable. Only thing the degree, it's in degree. The worth is in a degree. But the value is uncalculable. Yes. So it's very challenging indeed, and to continue to value first ourselves, and not to be influenced by outsiders. There was a story about how a brother used historical thing. our brother used his excuse me. I know I'm moving a lot, but how, brother, I'm trying to find a level of comfort here, even in this, even in this expression. If someone uses brute force to beat you down, what they are doing is reinforcing and giving and making it clear that I am greater than you and you are less than me. And they force you into that submission. That was done in history and is being done now. So this must change. And the manner and the way in which he or she, them or they, make history and changing and change, because change is a product of human effort, and that effort must be synthesized into a useful purpose. People want to feel valued, they want to be useful. And I say this in closing: when it comes to change, that no one will not change if they don't see an issue with their actions. I repeat, no one will never change if they don't see an issue with their actions. And the issue is in finding character resolve. Character resolve, because character is the material that has been given to us to build on each other's humanity. For we are member of humanity. May we not forget it. And when we do so, we imprison ourselves. Until next time, talk to you.